or animals, or plants, or trees, or even germs existed. There was no earth, there was no sky, there was no universe. There was only a big, cold, dark, quiet, empty space. Bigger and quieter and colder and darker and emptier than anyone today could even imagine. But there wasn't just that empty space. Who was there? H-shem. In fact, H-shem filled all of existence. He was everywhere. But H-shem's not a person with a body like us. He doesn't have any hands. He doesn't have any ears. He doesn't have any eyes. But he sees everything. And he hears everything. And he knows everything all the time because he fills the whole world and all this space. In fact, the universe is inside H-shem. In the beginning of the universe, H-shem took black fire and white fire, and he took the letters of the alphabet.
That's red fire. Why can't we? Shh. That's red fire.
And he created the universe. Spoke things into creation. He said, Yehi-or. And what did that mean?
Light.
In that same moment that H-shem spoke something, he created light. And some people think that when H-shem created the world and he said, go for it. Yes. But the light wasn't coming from a star in the sky, like the fiery ball that we call the sun. The light was even brighter than the sun. It was a light that allowed one to see from one side of the whole universe to the other. So, the light was not coming from a star in the sky like the fiery ball we call the sun. The light was even brighter than the sun. It was a light that allowed one to see from one side of the universe to the other, and to see ways that were invisible, like malachim. When H-shem called this explosion of light, all of the new things that were in the universe came into being. They were called ace. The Torah calls them ace, but we call them matter. And if you were very close here, you'll see this when we're finished. There are little tiny silver, tiny little confetti stars that were inside of the balloon. Now, this ace expanded, and H-shem made it expand all over space. No numbers or distances are big enough to measure how far H-shem's matter, this ace, expanded all over. And soon, there were billions of stars floating in the darkness. Were these stars already put into orbit, or do we have to wait till day 4 for that one? That's right. Now, it's the nature of things in our universe that objects become attracted to one another. This pull is called gravity. With gravity working on these little stars, some of the stars H-shem caused to begin gathering into galaxies, like we have our Milky Way galaxy. Now, I'm sprinkling some of the stars into this pan to show you that after a few minutes, all the stars are going to start clumping together through gravity. Then H-shem might have sent something like a shockwave through the spinning clouds made up of all this ace, and suddenly H-shem took those clumps of matter and began to join them into something very big, like making a snowball. What do you think it was? It got bigger and bigger, and it became our what?
World.
Our world, our Earth. But at first our Earth, scientists think, was a very big fiery ball, that it was too hot for anything to live on it. Do you think that that big fiery ball could have been the water that H-shem made all over the Earth?
Yeah.
Now, H-shem hid the special light from the first day, and the universe was left in complete darkness again. And H-shem called this darkness Lila, and the light he called
You need
Yom.
to make another light.
It was the end of Hashem's first day, and he saw that it was good. The Earth's surface was just one big, melty, bubbly liquid of fire called molten rock, and there were no trees, or birds, or plants, or animals, and no people. And there might not have been even any air to breathe.
There's nothing
particles on Hashem's brand new earth that he created were heavy, and some of them were very light. And it turned out that the ones that were very heavy went to the bottom of the earth and on the very top of the earth. Just like when you pour oil into water and honey into water. Our honey's going to take a minute. Do you think the honey is the heaviest one?
Yeah.
And what's the lightest one?
The oil.
You think the water is?
Oil.
Now, as the particles started to settle, the molten rock that was deep in the earth was still pushing its way to get to the outside. And it started to push its way up and make itself into what?
A volcano.
Volcanoes.
What can they do with?
Hey, that's not fair. And all of that molten stuff from the inside of the earth came out and it poured all over the surface of the earth. And Hashem said, there should be a sky in the middle of the water that separates the water below from the water above into the sky. And in that same moment Hashem said it, the sky split into two. Not only was there molten rock spewing from the volcanoes, but some gases were in the sky, and water vapor from below the earth's crust came out, and it started to be absorbed through evaporation. Evaporation is the way that our clouds still work today. And if you air that was coming through the volcanoes would come up into the sky, and as it was coming into the sky, it would turn into clouds. And what do you see underneath my plate?
Water vapor.
Water vapor. What happens when water vapor starts to collect inside of clouds?
Then it rains.
Rain.
Or when it gets
Hashem created the water cycle and all of the rain and atmosphere on day 2. The first water droplets of clouds appeared in this process called condensation. But were there people?
No.
Were there animals?
No.
Were there even germs?
No.
But there were 3 kinds of matter already. There were already 3 states of matter. Liquid, solid,
And ale.
And this is still true today. The water in the ocean was liquid. The water in the sky was gas. And the water that was in the oceans was liquid. And the earth was. This was the end of Hashem's second day. Now, waters come from under the skies and join in together in one place. And under the ground you will be seen. In that same moment Hashem spoke, the clouds became heavy and rained on the earth. And the earth was covered with water. But some of the water filled the lower parts of the earth. Some of the water filled the lower parts of the planet and divided into what Hashem calls Yamin, oceans and seas. And the higher lands became exposed, and Hashem called this Eretz. Hashem looked at the earth and he said it was good. If any of us had been there to see our planet at that time, it probably would have looked mostly like one big ocean with lots of little pieces of land. But there were no people, and there were no animals, and there were no plants, and there weren't even germs. Hashem had made the universe, but he had not yet created any living things. And how Hashem formed life is the story for our next great lesson.